Jiwoo never needed to be faster when he faced other opponents, but this time, the opponent is catching up with his speed and he needs to bring more speed. Duke also increases his speed and all of them can't see them fighting as their bodies look blurry. Jiwoo increases his speed and disappeared from Duke's sight and is cornering him with his speed. Duke increases his speed but Jiwoo got disappeared and appears from his behind and is about to attack when Duke pushes him back and thinks he has been overpowered by an unaffiliated student. His attacks are definitely following Jiwoo, and if he hadn't seen his sparring with Subin, this match would have been harder for him. Jiwoo tries to attack him again and again but Duke is continuously dodging them all and gets injured. Duke says his attacks will not work on him but Jiwoo comes forward and his speed becomes more faster and gets disappeared from his sight. He then punches him so badly that gets Duke on his knees. Duke furiously gets up and says he could come near him because he allowed him to, but now he will tell him his real place. The teacher is happy that Duke is going to fight seriously now, and Jiwoo is done for. His energy would be difficult for Jiwoo. Duke says he can't come near him or gets out of his sight this time and his speed will not work on him. He directed his powers against Jiwoo's movements and at this rate, he can't get through and this is the time to use what Mr. Han taught him. He reaches the Duke and uses his last play card, the electric current, and there was a huge spark. Everyone is in a state of shock when In-hyuk announces the win of Jiwoo Seo, and there is a wave of happiness goes through the students. Mr. Han is shocked that Jiwoo definitely used the technique that he taught him but he is able to use it in real combat in such a short time. All the students cheered him up and the teachers are happy the way all the other students are approving and being happy for him. The students and teachers of the World Awakened Academy are shocked that they have lost to this kind of place. After some time, Kurteen examines his condition and he reveals that his core is a mess and it looks like it is going to break any minute. Kaden appreciates him for the spar and asks about his last punch and Jiwoo tells him that he used the principal's technique to throw his last punch. Kaden reveals that what Mr. Han taught him is part of his force control that has to do with moving power while Jiwoo is in shock to hear this. He gets up from his seat and direct rushes toward the lawn where Mr. Han is and tells him that Mr. Kaden tells him that he taught him his force control. He bows before him and thanks him for whatever he has done for him. In-hyuk informs other teachers about the arrival of Kane Luderane, and they wonder why Duke Grain and Kane arrive separately from the others. Moreover, they have received information that an awakened academy in a neighboring country recently suffered great damage, and they believe that it has to do with the recent incident. It looks like Duke and Kane moved separately and made a fuss at an awakened academy in a nearby country. Miss Ko reveals that the animal he brought in is not just a regular Black Panther. It's a mystical creature only given to a direct descent of the family who is influential and normal animals are no match for its overwhelming power. On the other side, Isol is walking with her pet dog Dury when Kane reaches there and asks her if she has the ability to talk to the animals. His Black Panther comes forward to attack Dury when Isol asks him to stop and Kane challenges a spar to Isol as they both have the same commune ability. Isol refuses him as combat is not her specialty, but he says her dog can fight in place of her. Mr. Kaden and Kurteen are taking a nap under a tree when the Black Panther rushes toward them and going to attack but Dury comes forward and covers them. Kane says Dury attacks first so now, he can't stop Lancelot from attacking him. He jumps upon Dury and he gets seriously injured by just one attack. Mr. Kaden jumps up from his place and attacks Lancelot with his paw. He bows before him immediately. Kane is shocked that Lancelot is better than any other animal, and now he just lost to a fat cat like this. Meanwhile, Jiwoo appears there and he now gets that he is the boy who defeated Duke in a spar and thinks he gave the fat cat his powers. Isol thanks him for helping Dury while he is unable to understand what is happening there. Kane comes forward and asks him to spar with him at this instant. The teachers get the news that their student is sparring with the student of the Awakened Academy, and now they are all rushing toward the gym. When they all reach there, they are shocked to see Jiwoo as the sparring opponent. In-hyuk comes forward and asks their teacher to stop because Jiwoo is not in a condition to spar again, but even they can't stop Kane. Kane says they don't need to worry as the sparring is with the animal communion ability, but they think it is going to be difficult for Jiwoo and the cat. Kane this time uses his awakened power to give it to Lancelot and his size is going to increase and becomes huge in an instant. Kane asks Lancelot to swallow up the cat while everyone is watching, but when he is going to attack Kaden, he gets him away by using a cat punch. Kane shouts at him why he is losing to some fat cat and asks him to hold himself and attack again. Lancelot again jumps up to attack Kaden, but he is too fast that he doesn't give him a chance to fight back and punches him away, and gives him an electric shock that he falls to the ground. Kane and all the teachers are in a state of shock that the mystical creature is lost to a mere cat. Hayek says this is just possible because it's a cat, and they just got a peek into the great potential of cats, and nothing is greater than cats. Mr. Caden really enjoyed beating Lancelot as he was a hard opponent for him as a cat, but Curtin says he should be more focused on how to get back to his original form. Deep inside he is getting jealous of his powers. Someone knocked at Jiwoo's door. It is Arthur at the door, and has come there to introduce himself properly. He saw him knock Duke down, and even he heard that Jiwoo can beat Cain too, but he notices Jiwoo looks gentler than he thought. He thanks Jiwoo because of his win as he defeated Duke and Cain, but he couldn't. After that, Curtin reveals that the two of them lost to him while Arthur drew against the four, and as a result, Arthur is seen as more capable than the others. The professors of the World Awakened Academy are planning to bring Wooin and Jiwoo with them because they are unaffiliated, so it will not a big problem for them to take with them. Cain is so offended that he has lost to a boy even though the communion ability is not his main ability, and when the family finds out about this, his position will be in danger. Now, the only explanation that comes to his mind is that the cat is special, and he will take that cat with him. Subin, Jisuk, and Wooin got the news of Caden's spar and now rush toward his room while Jisuk thinks there is nothing to surprise as the mystical creature is no match for the fat cat, and now he really has a bad feeling about that skinny cat. Subin asks Jiwoo if he can spar with him using his commune ability while Jisuk forbids her by saying she will going to die. He is trying to save her life, but she thinks he is looking down on him because he lost to Duke and starts to beat him. Wooin reveals to them that Isol is going back suddenly because her dog is badly injured and she is going back to treat him. Jiwoo goes to meet her and asks her about Duri's condition, and she reveals that one of his eyes is badly injured so it might go blind. Jiwoo and Mr. Caden both are sad about Duri's condition when Curtin suddenly comes back to his human form, and Jiwoo asks him if he can heal Duri's eye. He agrees and says it hasn't been long since the dog got the injury, so it should be possible to treat him as the great Curtin. Jiwoo thinks he doesn't have anything to offer in return that suits his interest. Curtin says he can heal if Caden makes a deal with him, that is to teach him the cat punch. It was not a big deal for Mr. Caden, so he agrees immediately. After that, he orders everyone to leave the building and turns into cat form again as this is part of his training, and he wants to see how it will turn out if he treats animals in this body. All the students are waiting outside the academy, and Isol wonders why Curtin is treating Duri as it's difficult to receive treatment from him, and Jiwoo gives her the reason that he loves the animals. Arthur goes to Duke and tells him about the defeat of Cain, and that Jiwoo has the ability to commune with animals too, while Duke thinks he lost to him because he didn't have a good grasp of his abilities. On the other side, Cain is looking for Mr. Caden and thinks he should sneak into Jiwoo's room. He finds Curtin in his way and thinks the cat belongs to Jiwoo too, so he should take him for now. He uses his awakened power to control Curtin's mind, but it doesn't have any effect on him. He gets up and is about to leave when Cain gets offended and calls him ugly and neutered. Curtin becomes furious to hear this and jumps upon him and punches him until he becomes unconscious. After that, Hayek reveals to the other teachers that Cain has a short memory loss as the security guards found him walking around the academy with a blank look. They think this is due to his defeat in the recent match that his family's mystical creature got defeated by a cat. The instructors of the World Awakened Academy go to Wooin and he offers to join their World Academy, but he leaves them by saying he doesn't want to join any academy. He orders the other professor to deal with Wooin according to their next plan. Meanwhile, Jiwoo comes there too as they have called him to. They make him the same offer and ask him not to waste their time in this small country and come out to the World Academy. Jiwoo gives them the same answer as Wooin and tells them that he likes this place and doesn't want to go anywhere else. Next, they go to Jisuk and he also declines their offer. After that, they went to Subin, Gangseok, and Suchin one by one, but they all declined their offer by making lame excuses. Jiwoo went to see Duri and he all recover now. Isol thanks him for what he did for Duri. She knows that if it wasn't for Jiwoo, he wouldn't have treated Duri. Meanwhile, Subin, Jisuk, and Wooin come up there and she runs away from there with Duri. Jiwoo tells them about Curtin and how he treated Duri, while Subin is impressed by both Caden and Curtin and wonders whom she should choose. Wooin tells Jiwoo about the professors of the World Awakened Academy, that they have come to visit him and offer him to go with them, while Jisuk and Subin reveal that they come to the also, and now they are all relieved that they refuse their offer. The students and the professors of the World Awakened Academy are now ready to leave, and while leaving he thinks they will destroy the future of their students and orders the other instructor to get rid of them all. At night, when Jiwoo was walking, he appears from behind and hides his face in the mask, and goes to target Jiwoo first. Suddenly, someone comes from behind and attacks him, and he is shocked to see Amyong there. He asks him why he is there, and Amyong reveals they both are here for the same reason. He asks him if his target is Jiwoo, but he attacks him from behind and says his target is the people who are behind Jiwoo. He asks him why he is protecting Jiwoo, and Amyong states he owes him a debt. Jiwoo was resting somewhere when Amyong reaches there and asks him about his health. Jiwoo gets scared to see him and asks him what brings him there, and he advises him to stay alert as Kaiden's apprentice so that he won't be in danger because of him. Jiwoo goes to Mr. Kaiden and tells him about Amyong and that he told him to get strong enough to tell everyone that he is Kaiden's apprentice. The next day, all the unaffiliated students get discharged from the hospital, and when they come to the gym, the affiliated students were exercising there. They come to them and ask them about their health and appreciate them for they stood up against the students of the World Academy. Jiwoo comes there and Gangseok says he will spar with him once he is fully recovered, but Jisuk says if he wants to spar with Jiwoo, he has to beat Suchin first, then beat Duke and Kane before challenging him. After a while, Jiyoung arrives there and she is happy to see the kids become united because of that incident. Mr. Han calls her and tells her that their country will be kept in check by many forces, which is why they need to join hands, and as a leader representing Korea, her burden will increase even more. After that, she is about to leave the academy when Jiwoo calls her from behind and she appreciates him for his recent matches against Duke and Kane. She says to Jiwoo that he should be proud of his abilities and asks him why he declined their offer to join the academy. Jiwoo replies he likes this place and the people hers and wants to get stronger with the people he likes. The next day, Jiwoo is training in the gym when Mr. Han appears there and is shocked to see that he is moving his power using the method he taught him as if he has been using it for a long time. He has accomplished this much in a short amount of time. Jiwoo asks him if he gets disappointed to see that he makes a little progress with his method while Mr. Han says he is doing wonderful, and he is quite surprised to see how he has come this far. Kaiden and Kurtin come to Mr. Han and Kaiden asks him why he taught Jiwoo part of his force control, and he replies that he didn't know what came to his mind and that he taught him the method. They all set out on a journey to go back when Hyuk receives a call and gets informed that one of the world's top 10 Veramont, Patrick, has come to see Jiyoung. He states he doesn't have to come there to fight, and come along with his grandson, and heard that Jiyoung has won against an awakened one in the world's top 10. He thinks Jiyoung will be the perfect sparring partner for his grandson's ranking debut match, but now when he has seen her, his mind got changes and asks her to become part of his family. He gives her a marriage proposal for his grandson, and being married to him will make her a legitimate member of the Patrick family, which means nobody will ever dare to mess with her or her organization. When suddenly, the door opens and Jisuk enters the room within Hyuk. Jiyoung asks him to step outside for now, but Mr. Veramont says he should be there when they are going to become family soon, while Jisuk is unable to understand what he is saying and asks Jiyoung, who tells him about the marriage proposal by them. Jisuk tells them that Jiyoung and Jiwoo like each other, but Jurian says she doesn't have any future with him as his ability, background, and everything else make him underqualified. Meanwhile, Kaiden interrupts them and asks Veramont why his grandson qualified but not his apprentice, and they are shocked to see that the little kid is Kaiden's apprentice. He heard things about his apprentice but disagreed with that, but now all the rumors have been confirmed. He gets up from his place and asks Jurian to apologize to Jiwoo, as nobody can argue against the qualification of Kaiden's apprentice no matter what it is. He wonders what would be the special thing in Jiwoo that Kaiden chooses him as his apprentice after all that refused every offer made to him. Jurian says he wants to spar with Mr. Kaiden's apprentice, and everyone is shocked when Jiwoo accepts his challenge. Jiyoung tries to stop him by saying this is not like the previous matches he had so far, but he accepts the offer just because he is a student of Mr. Kaiden who has never once turned down an incoming challenge. They give him the time for 1 month to get ready for the match, and Jurian requests Jiyoung while leaving that she should give him a chance too, as the final outcome is still uncertain. When they have left, Jiyoung asks Jisuk why he would say things that put Jiwoo on the spot, and he replies he brought up Jiwoo's name when the timing seemed most adequate to him. Jiwoo asks Jiyoung if she will give him a chance Jurian, and she replies if this thing bothers him, she will not give him a chance. Veramont asks Jurian why he challenges a match to Kaiden's apprentice whose powers are comparable to the top 10 in the world. At night, Kaiden is telling him about the awakened powers and combat ability of Jurian, and that he must belong to the top 100 in the world. Kurtin scolds him why he didn't get his permission before getting into a fight, and he says if he refused him, he would bring shame to Kaiden's name. Kaiden asks him how he is planning to confront this match, and Jiwoo replies he will work as hard as he can whether he wins or lose the fight. His friends come to his home and he tells them that he can't hang out with them because of the training, as he is planning to try and do his best. Jurian comes to visit Jiyoung as he is leaving the country and wanted to see her before he leaves and asks if she thought about his offer, but Jiyoung refuses that she can't give him any chance. When he asks her about the reason, she states that she has the promise to keep. On the other side, Jiwoo is training while Kaden is instructing him, and Kurteen asks them to take it easy because 1 month will not make a difference. When he gets tired, Kaden asks him to do more and more force control and reveals that Patrick uses their shadows and they also use conventional fighting moves, but they're real deal in manipulating their own shadow to attack or defend. Mr. Kaden uses her own shadow and covers Jiwoo with it, and just being inside the shadow makes it much more difficult to do force control. On the other side, In Hyuk and Jiyoung congratulate Jurian for defeating the 1195th ranker, and now he has come there to spar with Jiwoo when Kaden appears there along with Jiwoo. They both reach the gym and are now ready for a fight, but before the fight, Kaden calls Jurian and says he should be ashamed that a world's ranker picking fights with a little boy. He states he will consider himself defeated if Jiwoo lands an attack on any part of his body. They are ready to attack each other, and this time, Jiwoo uses a different tactic, which is electricity. Jurian thinks he is Kaden's apprentice, so he will most likely use electricity, but he suddenly maximizes his speed and goes near him to attack him and didn't give him the time to get stable. Veramont is shocked that Kaden's apprentice used super speed to fight close combat, and Jurian is in a state of shock that he lost to a kid and Jiwoo won the match. Kaden tells Jurian that he has lost, as he told earlier that he will consider it a defeat if Jiwoo managed to touch with his attack. They are still shocked that Jiwoo's beginning posture was a bluffing gesture to mislead Jurian, and a trap created by Kaden. However, if Jiwoo's speed were not that fast, their plan wouldn't have worked. His speed was out of the world for Jurian to react in time. Jiwoo tells Jurian that he is aware of the fact that he is not capable to fight him, and will challenge him in the future when he brings himself up to be his fit competitor. Veramont asks Kaden how long has it been since he is training Jiwoo, and gets surprised when he tells them it is not even a full year, and Jiwoo gets strong in that short period. When they leave, Kaden asks Jiwoo to get back and that they will focus on training everywhere except his arm that he just injured. At night, Kurteen examines him and heals his broken arm, which was due to the forced impact on his body. After a while, Kaden informs Jiwoo that someone has got inside the house, and when he checked up, it was Jiwoo's mother. Kaden is shocked to see her, as he just knew that she is a researcher at some foreign pharmaceutical company, but has never seen her before. She notices Jiwoo is in a good condition, as he is looking good with a bright face full of high spirits. Jiwoo tells her about his journey and that he is an awakened one and there are lots more like him throughout the world. She reveals that she already knew about this, but the world of awakened ones is too dangerous, so she never told him about this. Suddenly, the door opens and his friends enter the house. Subin asks him why he is not picking up his phone, but stops to see his mother there. Jiwoo introduces her as his mom, and they are shocked to hear that Jiwoo had a mother all the time and they didn't even know about that. They all introduce themselves to her, and she is also shocked because this is the first time Jiwoo has introduced someone as his friend, and they are in the same way because they have never met a friend's mother before. She ordered food for them, and Subin tells her about Jiwoo, that he is popular among people and a lot of people in the academy like him as well, while she is just happy to see them all. After a while, the doorbell rings and Kaden enters the house and greets Jiwoo's mother respectfully. They are all shocked that the great Kaden is bowing his head before a lady. Jisik texts on Jiyoung's mobile and informs her about Jiwoo's mother. After some time, she gets ready and reaches his home and tells her that she was just passing the area. Jiwoo takes him inside and they all are shocked to see her, and Jiwoo introduces her to his mother. Subin asks her what brought her there, and she gives her the same answer as Jiwoo, while Jisik says she was in the area just when he told her about Jiwoo's mom. After some time, she states that she has to go as she came there for a quick stop. While leaving, she thanks all of them as they all bring good changes in Jiwoo. Jiwoo see off her mother and went outside the home. She turned back and was shocked to see Amyong there, and it seems like they already know each other. Amyong didn't have any idea that she is Jiwoo's mother, and Yujeong asks him if he knows Jiwoo. He replies that he has a little incident with Jiwoo, but everything is settled now, and assured her that he will keep his relationship secret with Jiwoo. The next morning, Jiwoo is training while Kaden is instructing him. Kurteen states Jiwoo's spontaneous speed after gaining that momentum from Mr. Han is pretty impressive now. He transforms into his human form and asks him to stay still. After examination, he reveals that Jiwoo's core has fully recovered now, and no further treatment is necessary. Jiwoo asks if he will go back now when his core is fully treated, and Kurteen replies he doesn't want to stay in this cramped place when he doesn't need to. When he left his home, Kaden reveals the reason why Kurteen hardly ever treats others has to do with his characters. but it's also because of his powers. He uses a chunk of his power when treating someone, and during the treatment, he becomes completely vulnerable and takes a huge risk when he treats someone. When Curtin comes out, he thinks he still has much to research with Caden in his cat's body and doesn't want to go back right now, but now he is feeling embarrassed to go back and says that he is planning to stay longer. In the meantime, Jiwoo comes outside and asks him to stay a little longer with them if he is okay with it. And this is why he wanted to agree to stay immediately. At night, Caden is doing force control when he realizes his recovery is slowing down and he just can't seem to move forward as he has hit a wall. Curtin says it would not be easy to bounce back from an injury that almost killed him, and Jiwoo asks him if he can treat Caden. He replied since Caden's power is so massive, the scope of treatment will also be tremendous and he needs to sacrifice in order to treat him, so it's much more effective to just heal him on his own. Jiwoo always wanted to ask him how he got seriously injured as he is one of the strongest in the world. Caden reveals in the past, he has challenged and won against countless strong ones and fought to a point when there were no more strong ones he could challenge against, and so he challenged the world's top 10. But none of them accepted his challenge because if they would lose everything. No matter if he provoked them, they didn't blink an eye. And when he was finally about to give up fighting them, he heard the news that 3 of the top 10 were gathering in one place for some reason. It was that one chance he had been waiting for all along, so he went all out, determined to take it out on them for making him wait all that time, but the 3 of them really lashed him. He didn't have any idea that they would get together like that, especially after refusing him for so long, and they all jumped on him together. At night, Inhyuk informs Jiyoung that Vader, a ranker in the world top 50, has been confirmed to have entered their country, and they suspect that he has come after Caden. They all know he has always been on bad terms with Mr. Caden and wants to make him pay for the humiliation with his life. He goes to Suman and says his group was the one who leaked information about Caden and his apprentice, and that they should help him further. Suman wants to go to Caden and tells him about the situation, but Vader asks him to bring one of Caden and Jiwoo. He gives him the time for 1 week, otherwise his group will vanish from the face of the earth. On the other side, Jiwoo is feeding his cats at home when he is shocked to see Suchin at his door. He reveals that some world rankers by the name of Vader came to Baekdu and demanded them to bring Caden and Jiwoo. If they don't comply with his order, he will attack Baekdu. He asks Jiwoo to go to him directly, otherwise he will tell him about his home because he has to protect Baekdu somehow. Curtin says Vader coming after him is the last thing they need right now, and Jiwoo asks Caden why he is after him. He states he wants to pick a fight with him and has been defeated by him once, which left him with a permanent scar on his face. Caden says he wants to let the world know that he is still going strong, and that's the only way to stop these things from happening again. Vader has been waiting for a chance to get back at Caden ever since he got defeated by him, and now this is the chance for him when Caden is injured near death. Jiwoo asks Curtin if Caden is okay with fighting, but he states Caden is in very bad shape, so this will be a bad time for him. The best he could do at this point is to really focus and gather all his power, and that is why he is stuck in the basement this whole time. 1 week has passed and Vader demands an answer from Suman, but he is ready for a fight with him. He tells him that his unreasonable demand will not be honored, which makes him offended, and he gets up by saying he will erase this place from the map. He is about to attack Suman when Jiyoung reaches there for his help, and she tells him that Biko, Mir, Hala, and the Union all wanted to come, but she took it upon herself and came alone to show the world the true power of awakened ones in Korea. Vader recognizes her and asks why she has come there, and she says she has come there to save Korea from the other awakened ones. Vader says she is not even a world ranker and now stands up against him, and now he will turn this place into Earth, including her. Jiyoung creates spatial isolation and he is shocked to see her energy and wonders why she is not a world ranker. Vader attacks Jiyoung, but it didn't even make a dent in her. Suman comes to help her, but she forbids him by saying she will do it by herself. Suman thinks she is trying to turn this into an opportunity to show the world the true power of their nation, but he wonders if she will able to do it because her opponent is someone in the world's top 50. Vader again attacks her with a massive amount of energy, but she again blocks his attack without even a scratch. She gathers up her energy and attacks him, who is shocked to see her powers and doesn't want to use up his energy because he is saving it to fight with Caden. But now he doesn't have any other option except to use his powers and takes Jiyoung seriously. The real fight starts now when he is attacking her with his full powers, but she blocks it too and makes a huge destruction. Vader confesses that she is more than just some nameless top 100 and could very well be one of the world's top 50. Suman already knew she was powerful, but to this extent that she is putting up a good fight against a world-ranked Vader. Vader gets offended by all this and now has the intention to kill her, and this time uses the power of his weapons too. On the contrary, Ji-young uses the technique of the Blade Storm and there was a massive explosion of their powers. After that, they both stand in their positions and Vader gets furious why he didn't know about her, or even if her name was not in the world ranking. If she was to be in the top 50 seconds, she and her organization would get so much more authority. He thinks any more damage he takes on her will put him at risk, and now that he has exhausted too much power, going up against Kaden is unthinkable for him now. He runs away from there and Suman comes forward and thanks her for saving them. He is disappointed as he never thought that he had to return empty-handed after coming all this way to bring down Kaden, but he suddenly finds himself in another spatial isolation and Kaden appears there and asks him why he was looking for him. He thinks he has used up all of his energy and is not in a condition to fight with Kaden. He tells him that he can't fight as he had to confront the top ranker of this country right before he came. He asks him to postpone their match to a later time and he wants to face him when he is in the best physical condition possible. But Kaden gets happy as this is a jackpot for him that his opponent is not in the best condition and can fight him easily. He gives him an electric shock and says he will not miss a chance to give a crap about his disadvantage. He has also come there to hear about Kaden's injuries and now why he would not take advantage of his injuries. Kaden beats him until he gets seriously injured and doesn't have enough energy to begin with, and can't gather any force after taking that initial blow off guard. Kaden again comes forward to attack him, but he accepts his defeat and can't believe this is happening to him again. Meanwhile, Kurteen reaches there and Vader is shocked to see him with Kaden and wonders what he is doing there, and thinks if he would be able to get rid of his facial scars. Kurteen is shocked that he is continuously glaring at him as he was not the one who beat the crap out of him. They went back home and Kaden tells Jiwoo that it was easy peasy for him and that he didn't even have a scratch. The next morning, Suchin comes to their home early in the morning and tells them that Vader came to his home again, but this time he asked to bring Mr. Kurteen. Suchin threatens him to bring Kurteen with them, otherwise he will tell him about this place and leaves him. On the other side, Vader asks Suman to tell him their address and that he will never bother him again. Then suddenly, the door opens and Kurteen enters with Kaden. He asks him why he is looking for him and Vader asks him to get rid of his facial scar for him. But he refuses him by saying he doesn't want to do it, while Vader assures him to compensate him in whatever way he likes, but Kurteen declines his offer. He then offers him a favor that he will help him once, but he again rejected his offer and leaves the place. The next morning, Suchin again comes up to their home and tells them that Vader is again calling Kurteen. He asks Jiwoo to give him his phone number as it is irritating for him to come again and again. They go to him and ask him to treat his scar, but he came back home after refusing him. He made him an offer that the treatment can bring to the world's economy and its benefit, but his answer didn't change. On the other side, the chairwoman of Mir thanked Jiyoung as their country's reputation has risen because of her, and they all owe her a big one. Jiyoung asks her the reason for her visit and she states she just wanted to see her in person and asks her about Jiwoo, that he has defeated the Luteran family's mystical creature using his animal communion ability, and she wants to meet him and the animals he communes with. Subin and Wooin go to Jiwoo's home and Subin asks him about Kaden and Kurteen, whether they have girlfriends and what is their ideal type, as she is falling in love with both of them. Jisuk says they both would want to kill her but can't say anything because of Jiwoo. The next morning, Jiwoo receives a message from Jiyoung that the chairwoman of Mir wants to meet him and come to their home. After a while, the doorbell rings and she comes along with Isol as she is her grandmother. Jiwoo takes them inside where all the cats are just staring at them. Jiwoo brings cold drinks for her while all the cats are just playing with her. She asks him about the cats whom Jiwoo communes with and which one of them fought with the Black Panther. Jiwoo points toward Mr. Kaden and that he cannot commune with any other cats except those two, and that he doesn't have control over them. She offers Jiwoo that she can teach him how to commune with animals, but Jiwoo refuses by saying he doesn't want to know about the feelings of the animals because if he knows, he can't bear the truth. She then says to Jiwoo that he can come to her whenever he needs someone's help, and they will be there to help him. On the other side, Mr. Han receives an invitation from the World Awakened Academy and thinks this is going to be troublesome. The next morning, Mr. Han asks the chairwoman about Jiwoo and she tells him that she offered him to teach him some ways to commune with animals, but he turned it down. She also reveals that the animals that Jiwoo communes are unique, as it feels like she was facing a different species other than the cat, and it was like she is looking at a human being. She then asks him about the invitation from the World Awakened Academy if he plans to send their kids, and he replies that he will send the children because they do not have any justifiable reason to refuse. On the other side, In-hyuk goes to Jiwoo and tells him about the invitation, and Gangseok, Suchin, Jisuk, Subin, and Wooin are also invited with him. The approximate duration is 1 month and the purpose is to interact with one another while staying in their academy. When Inhyuk had left, Kaden asks his opinion and Jiwoo states he wants to go as there must be lots of strong awakened kids like Duke and he wants to meet them in person and compete with them. At night, Jisuk comes to his home and asks him why he is going to the enemy's line, but Jiwoo doesn't answer to his question. He sits down on the sofa and asks to order some food when he receives messages from Subin and Wooin. They ask him to order level 1 tteokbokki and jjajangmyeon, but he ordered freaking bomb spicy level 5 tteokbokki and a jajampong while they are rushing toward his home excitedly. After that, she is yelling and beats Jisuk for ordering so much spicy food while Wooin is busy eating. Subin asks Jiwoo about his opinion on going to the World Awakened Academy, and Jiwoo says he wants to go with them. Then they ask Wooin and he answered the same as Jiwoo that he wants to go with them. At night, they all slept at Jiwoo's place and Kurtin says there is something weird about them all that they don't calculate when dealing with one another. Instead of taking or getting more for themselves, they try to offer and give what they already have, and he thinks Jiwoo is the cause of this phenomenon. Kaden also agrees with him that Jiwoo was the one who created all this mess. The next morning, Wooin goes to meet the professor in the jail and says he will not be able to come for a while as he is going to the World Awakened Academy. The professor asks him if he is going with his friends and gives him some basic advices about the academy. Inhyuk informs them that they are arriving at the airport in about 30 minutes and asks everyone to be careful, and that they will no longer be safe from the moment they arrive at the airport. When they reach there, they are welcomed by Gareth Luderain, the principal of the academy, and he is feeling a massive amount of energy from the students. He asks them which one of them defeated Kane, and Jiwoo comes forward and says he was the one. And then he asks him about the animal who defeated the mystical creature, and Jiwoo replies he wandered off when they near the academy. After that, Inhyuk tells them that their true intention is to assess their strengths, so they will try to put them through tests. So he advises them to stay on their toes and try their best not to get involved in any kind of trouble. Subin is getting bored, so she asks all of them to take a round of outside where all the other students are just glaring at them. Meanwhile, Arthur comes up there and warmly welcomes them. He advises Jiwoo to watch his back because many students are eager to go up against him after hearing how he defeated Duke and Kane. Moreover, both Duke and Kane's grounds as the 10 have been badly shaking compared to the others, as the reputation of the Grain family that Duke belongs to has been chewed up by the criticizing voices, and Kane's been thrown out of the competition for the headship of the Luderain family. After some time, Jiwoo was sitting in the lounge when Duke comes up there and asks him why he has come there, and Jiwoo replies he just wanted to experience the place. Duke says the place is packed with students who want to test his ability, or simply just fight him, but he can't lose to anyone else other than him. On the other side, Subin was roaming around when some students start to bully her and she can't move freely there. According to them, she is just scurrying around like a rat and running the atmosphere of the academy, while Subin knows they are just trying to pick up a fight with her. She asks them if they just want to fight, then they can ask her instead of beating around the bush with all that gibberish. The girl gets furious about this and tries to slap her, but Subin holds her hand by saying she started the fight and attacks her back. Another student comes up to punch her, but she blocks his attack and kicks him back. All the other students are now hesitating to come forward, and she asks them if they are interested to pick up a fight, but no one comes forward. The girl gets furious and uses her awakened power to attack Subin, while she gets happy that everyone here uses their powers openly. Meanwhile, the student council showed up and asked them to stop, but Arthur is unhappy because the fun was about to start. One of them comes to Jessica and asks her why she broke the rule and unleashes her powers, and she apologizes to her. Subin says she was the one who initiated the fight and she was the one who attacked first, and Arthur says she is telling the truth as everyone is a witness here, including him. She introduces herself as Irespi and is the president of the World Awakened Academy Student Council, and one of the Academy's top 10. Meanwhile, Jisuk, Wooin, and Jiwoo come there and they both again start fighting. Irespi recognizes Jiwoo as the South Korean rookie who defeated Duke and Kane. She is just staring at him when they all come forward as the guardian of Jiwoo and ask her why she is staring at him, and she says she just had been curious about the students that everyone talks about. After that, they were sitting and chatting when Arthur appears and says he already told them that they will try to pick up a fight out of nowhere. Jisuk asks him why he is on their side and tries to help them out, and he replies this is a sort of entertainment for him. And to him, it's more beneficial that they don't get around kicked and get beaten, and this is the only reason he is being nice to them. On the other side, a man comes to Gareth and informs him that they are unable to find the cats belonging to Jiwoo as they have not been spotted by any camera. After that, a student comes to Subin and challenges her with a spar, and she accepted it with open arms. Her opponent is Jessica, the one she got a fight with earlier. The next morning, all the students gather at the gym to watch the match, and they know Subin was the only one who lost in the previous matches, and it will be an easy win for Jessica. They both are ready for a fight while Arthur thinks Subin sure was lost, but her opponent was Duke, but this time, she will definitely win. Jessica is planning to go easy on her since she just wanted some recognition and messes her up enough so that she will never be able to look her straight in the eye from the trauma. The match begins and Jessica uses her awakened power in the start because she doesn't want to drag the fight and attacks her, but Subin dodges her attack. Subin comes near her and makes a weapon out of ice and attacks her. Jessica gets injured and tries to attack her, but Subin again dodges her attack while her movements are so sleek that Jessica is unable to get stable. Jessica then gathers her awakened power and throws it towards Subin, but she converts it into the ice with her awakened power and made an ice wall to block her attack and then throws the ice wall toward Jessica. She gets trapped in the ice and is unable to move, and Subin wins against Jessica. All the students are shocked that their high ranker Jessica get defeated, while Arthur already knew the result as Jessica and Subin are on a different level. She calls Duke and challenges him again for a spar, and Arthur thinks now other top 10 who were indifferent about this match will hear this outcome and start paying attention now. Such and notice Subin's combat skills have now improved, which means she has trained well. The four of them are now getting stronger as their combat skills are now improved very much, but he wants to be the strongest among all. After that, they all sit outside when Arthur is appreciating Subin for the win, and that all the students who went with him to their academy love it as much as he does, because most of the students here looked down on them after they got defeated by them, and Jessica was also one of them. With this, the majority will now refrain from provoking them further since Jessica was pretty high in rank within their academy. Suddenly, a student appears there and calls Arthur shameless because he is mingling with Jiwoo and his friends. His name is Glant Jesimov. He comes forward and asks who among them defeated Kane and Duke, and Jiwoo stands up by saying it was him. When he has left, Arthur says they will not easily challenge Jiwoo because he has defeated 2 of the top 10 and now others will have some extra caution. Gangseok asks if this is possible for them to challenge one of them, while Arthur is shocked by his question. When Jiwoo comes back to his room, Mr. Caden reveals they were taking nap from yesterday and just woke up. Meanwhile, someone knocks at the door and it is Gareth at the door. Says he has come there to check the animals he communes. He meets Mr. Caden and thinks he is looking more ridiculous than in the picture and tries to control and read his mind, and he just heard the ardent desire to kill the opponent. After that, he asks Jiwoo that he assessed his commune ability and says he doesn't have the basic controlling ability. He guesses that Jiwoo's cat is a naturally awakened animal just like them and asks him to hand over the cat to their family, as this is the first case that an animal has awakened powers. Once the world will get to know this, countless people will try to snatch the cat from him and he will not be able to protect them with his current combat ability. Jiwoo apologizes to him by saying he can't do that because he is his family and he plans to keep it that way until the very end. He then offers him something else, that he wants to have the cat's lineage. If Jiwoo lets him have the cat's offspring, he will give him a lot of assets and gives him some time to decide. When he has left, Kurtine is laughing so hard and making fun. The next morning, a student rushed toward the student council and informs them that Jiwoo Seo has challenged 8 Glant Jesimov, one of their top 10. They all come to Jiwoo and ask him why he challenged the student, and he replies he just wanted to fight against strong students in the academy. The next morning, all the students gather at the gym, and all the students are excited to see the match because the opponent is one of the strongest in the academy. That is why all the top 10 that usually don't give a thing about sparring showed up today, and Arthur is just enjoying the moment because he had not expected Jiwoo to make the first move. Jiwoo's friends also reach there and Glant is happy inside because he wanted to fight Jiwoo anyway. When Jiwoo appears there, all the students are shocked to see him as he looks so small and shy. Duke goes to Jiwoo and tells him that he had made a mistake by requesting this match because the top 10 won't challenge him so easily even if they wanted to, because they have a lot at stake in case they lose. So they will first try to gather as much information about him as possible before making any moves. Moreover, his awakened abilities and combat style have already been shared within their academy, and he will end up confirming all the information to be true in the match. Jiwoo just wants to overcome those difficulties with what he has got and keep fighting. The fight begins and Glant already knows that he is in close combat just like him and uses his high speed to gain more explosive power. His speed surpasses that of Duke's, so he is already prepared for that. He uses his awakened power to get stronger and cracks the floor to the Jiwoo while he is shocked to see his immense powers. Because of this topographical change, Jiwoo's mobility has been compromised and it will be difficult for him to move at his maximum speed. Jiwoo is shocked that a simple crack in the floor puts him in this spot. He tries to move, but all this debris trips his feet and makes it harder for him to move. In the meantime, Glant is about to punch him when he dodges him and jumps backward. But dodging will only keep giving him chances to attack and comes near him to attack, but he keeps on attacking him while Jiwoo is just trying to save him. Glant asks him if this is all he can do, then he is greatly disappointed by him while Jiwoo is unable to get through his guards. Glant says Jiwoo should have realizes until now that his attacks can't make a dent in him, and he has left with only one attack move, but Glant is aware of that. He gathers all of his force around his body to defend against his attack and is well aware of his skill while the floor is not helping Jiwoo. But he decides to fight with all he has and gathers immense power to attack him while Glant thinks this is his victory at any cost. There is a sudden explosion with Jiwoo's electricity attribute and Glant has been defeated. Jiwoo is announced as the winner and all of his friends thumbs up to him. Suchin is also shocked at how Jiwoo gets so strong so fast. All the top 10 gather at a place after the match and they first assume that Duke lost due to his recklessness. But now they have witnessed it with their eyes, and the last move of Jiwoo and his speed was so overwhelming that he even gets through the surrounding terrain and his electrical attribute got more powerful than when he fought against Duke. Now, they have decided that none of them will further challenge Jiwoo because if more of them end up losing, the reputation of this World Awakened Academy could be jeopardized. Arthur asks what Jiwoo is and challenges them again, but no one has the answer to this question. On the other side, Kurteen is examining Jiwoo and he reveals he has got severe contusions and hairline fractures here and there, and after the treatment, he feels completely recovered. After a while, the doorbell rings and there is Gareth on the other side and gives him an envelope, and he has selected them with much consideration while they are unable to understand what he is talking about. They curiously open up the envelope and there are the pictures of female cats for Caden. Caden and Jiwoo are feeling embarrassed while Kurteen is laughing loudly. The next morning, the top 10 again receive an official request for a match, and it is again from Jiwoo Seo. They are shocked at how can challenge them in just one day. One of them agrees to spar with him, but only after he completely recovers because defeating him while he is still injured will just serve as an excuse for him. On the other side, Kurteen is choosing the pictures for Caden's significant half while Caden is just wanted to beat him up. The doorbell again rings and this time Irespi is at the door and wants to talk to Jiwoo, and tells him that they felt humiliated when he asked to fight against any one of the top 10 that's available. Jiwoo tells her that he is fully recovered and unintentionally points toward Kurteen, and Irespi is shocked that he has been treated by a cat. In the meantime, his friends come up there and ask Irespi what she is doing there, and she replies they were just having a talk. They are shocked when Jiwoo tells them that he is planning to challenge all of the top 10 in the academy. Irespi runs off and calls the top 10 again for a meeting and tells them that all of the exchange students have challenged the top 10 and they truly want to have sparring against them, while In-huk and Seonga are unable to understand what they are trying to do. Mr. Caden is enjoying the moment that all the other kids are jumped to a challenge like Jiwoo did, and the opponents must be feeling pretty speechless when suddenly Gareth enters the room and says he has learned that one of his cats has the healing ability, and propose him that they want to get that cat's lineage as well. If he can get the offspring of those two cats he communes with, the Luterane family will sponsor him at the best level with the utmost conditions and leaves him by giving him some time to think about it. But suddenly he notices Kurteen's ear, which means he can't make kittens, and Gareth gets so sad that they can't get the lineage of the cat with awakened healing abilities has been broken, and the entire humanity has suffered a great loss. After some time, they all sit in the lounge while chatting when In-hyuk and Seongher reach there and informs them that the match will be in 2 days and everyone will be fighting on that same day. They are asking them what they are all thinking. We're doing this, but now they must have to win and show the world that the best awakened rookies from South Korea are not any less than the World Academy students. 2 days have passed and this time the spar is on 6x6 and all of them gather at the gym. A student comes forward to fight and her opponent is Suchin Kang, and he has already defeated one of their high ranker pretty easily. The girl's name is Laura Jensen and she is the best rookie ever from the Jensen family and is known for her ruthless tendency. Although she hasn't killed any, she has rendered many of them permanently incapacitated. According to Subin, she is the perfect fit to face their villain, and now they will again find out who is the greater of two evils. The fight has started, while Suchon thinks he will make it clear to everyone that as long as he is standing strong, Baekdu will make it back to the top. But he is shocked when Laura attacks him from behind and gets him seriously injured. She throws a lot of attacks one after one and makes a huge wall of stone in front of her. But Suchin breaks it in just one attack and again is ready to fight her and counterattacks her. He says he will give her back the mess that she has created in the arena and attacks her back. He creates a gravity manipulator and is the worst type of opponent for Laura since her attribute is Earth. He floats himself in the air while Laura is unable to attack him in the air. He is floating so high that she needs more energy to attack and her patterns of attack are also simplified. All she can do is dodge his attack. Suddenly, her body gets heavier as he has spread his gravity around Laura throughout the entire arena. And it's the same skill that he used against Jiwoo. He is attacking her one by one while she is just trying to dodge him, but Suchin comes near her and punches her with his full might and starts torturing her, and plans to turn her into dust right there and let himself be known, but she uses her awakened power and covers herself in a wall. The match is a tie between both of them and Laura falls unconscious and other students take both of them to the medical center. Next is Wooin and Jean, a rookie sponsored by the organization and has the awakened ability of fire. She attacks him as soon as the fight started as she is known for her elaborate control of her firepower and is very good at controlling her power. But controlling the power is something Wooin is also very good at. He just altered the course of her attacks to minimize his damage and counterattacks her, but she offset his attack in the same way by altering its course. She has never met someone like him as she had only faced crude ones who only tried to overpower her with their physical strength until now and attacks him with so much power. And they both precisely cancelled each other's attacks. Their scale of attacks is getting bigger and bigger and after a while, Wooin is getting dominant on her while she is slowly getting pushed back. She lost in power manipulation to a guy that is not even one of the four. When she realizes that she has lost her force control, she attacks him with her full powers and there is a sudden explosion and Wooin gets seriously injured by this. Subin and Jisuk shout from their place that Jean asked to compete over power control, then she attacked him and played foul. They ask Mr. Vice Principal if it's a loss for Jean due to foul play. Meanwhile, Wooin walks away from the arena because he hurts a lot. Mr. Vice Principal announces that they will decide the outcome of this match after discussing the matter among the professors. Gangseok is the next and he is evaluated as the strongest among the four and his opponent is Alay Pigaran. They both are standing within each other's reach and take out their awakened power and attack each other. Their fighting styles are so much sharp that there is so much of an explosion of their powers. It seems like they are trying to crush each other's fists, but a point comes when Ilay lets his guard down. They both are now ready for one last attack which will end up this fight and attack each other with their full force. There is a huge explosion of their powers and as a result of this, Alay gets seriously injured and admits his defeat and Gangseok Choi wins the spar. Jiwoo thumbs up him by saying he is really strong and indeed the strongest among all. All the teachers and the principal are shocked that their top 10 are being pushed back one-sided like this, but if they lose another round, the reputation of the academy will seriously damage. Next is Leah and her opponent is Subin. She comes forward and attacks her, but her defense is very stronger as she is known for having stronger defensive capabilities and can use her abilities to make shields. Subin now realizes her awakened ability and now is planning to destroy it. Subin attacks her again, but she dodges it and suddenly put a shield around Subin. She got trapped in this and Leah tells her that having a strong defense is not the only thing that made her part of the top 10. Subin tries to get out of it, but it looks like it's deflecting her powers and is not able to get out of it. The shield is getting smaller gradually so that she can't unleash her powers and her powers are getting deflected into it and causing problems for her. Suddenly, the vice principal gets up and says time's up while the principal and other teachers are unable what he is doing. He uses his powers and traps all of them in a shield and suddenly, there is a huge explosion and some people appear there. They enter thereby breaking through the ceiling and Gareth recognizes them as they belong to the frame. Jiwoo remembers it's the same organization where the Klein brothers used to belong, but they all wonder how they get there. Hyuk thinks the headmaster is the only one who can deal with them. Gareth says they have declared a war against awakener organizations all over the world, but their intention is to kill all the students there. Gareth and all the teachers use their awakened power to break the shield and yell at the vice president that he worked with the frame, but he reveals that he was part of the frame from the beginning. He couldn't bear to see the students here grow up, but after killing all the students here, every organization will stop sending valuable rookies to this academy. All the teachers try to break the trap, but he says it will not break that easily as it took him a long time to set it up. He laid out various devices that are based on the principles of space separation, and so as a result, he was able to create this space, and for the next 30 minutes, They will not be able to leave this place. Gareth uses his awakened powers to break it, but all vain, and then suddenly, Professor Andrea also appears there, and they are all shocked that he is also part of the frame. He gathers his powers and attacks the students when Leah shouts and asks all the students to run away. All of them run and try to escape the stadium, but they got trapped in an isolated space and are unable to leave the stadium. The vice principal laughed and says they can't leave this barrier. Arthur is also in a confusing situation because all of the opponents are within the top 100 and beyond their powers, and they are all powerless in front of them. One of them tries to attack Leah when Jiwoo reaches there and saves her. The students think they have to hold them for just 30 minutes because after that the shield will disappear. Leah asks Jiwoo why he interfered because he will be their target now because he saved her. He now comes toward Jiwoo to attack him, and he asks Leah to stay back while all the students are shocked that he is trying to fight them. Jiwoo comes forward and tries to attack him, but he holds his hand and pushes him back, and Jisuk notices he is just trying to draw their attention to buy some time. Jiwoo is drawing their attention with his speed while the opponent grabs him as he is getting annoyed by his speed and is going to attack him when Subin appears from behind and freezes his hand. Wooin and Jisuk also come forward to help them. The earthquake gets so furious and says he will give them so much pain that they will beg him to kill them. He is about to attack them when Gangseok interrupts and punches him so hard. He says he can buy more time even if it's only 1 second, while Arthur and Leah are in a state of shock that they are putting the enemy's attention on themselves to save one person. The earthquake again gets up and Gangseok's attack didn't scratch him and comes to attack him, but Jiwoo saved him with his speed and Leah puts a shield on them. The earthquake asks his companions to kill the other children. Meanwhile, he will kill all of them. Gangseok is fighting with him and all the other ones are helping him from behind, but he is much powerful that his attack didn't put a scratch on him. He first attacks Gangseok, which makes him seriously injured. He then attacks the others and their condition is the same as Gangseok, and then turns towards Jiwoo, who is in close combat at a high speed, and attacks him, but Jiwoo moves with a much higher speed and dodges his attack. He confesses that it is hard to deal with Jiwoo as compared to his friends. Jiwoo tried to use his last trick and jumps to attack him. The professor shouts from behind and asks him to focus as his eyes couldn't follow Jiwoo when he used the skill. Jiwoo already knows his skill won't work against rankers, but still, he has to try everything. He uses electricity and the earthquake is shocked to see the electricity attribute. Meanwhile, Jisuk and Subin are helping him from behind. Jiwoo runs from his place and puts everything in just one attack and gives him an electric shock. Everyone is shocked at how he managed to have that kind of power and speed at such a young age, while Leah is shocked to see their teamwork. But the earthquake again gets up and Jiwoo is shocked that he gave his best, but it didn't do any damage to him at all. The other rankers now turn toward the other students to kill them, while the earthquake grabs Jiwoo and hits his head on the floor. He furiously kicks him and says he will trample on him and burst his heart. Suddenly, there is a huge shock of electricity and Kaden appears from somewhere to save Jiwoo. The principal and the earthquake both recognize him as he is Kaden Break. Kaden smashes his head with his shoe and asks him why he is attacking him all of a sudden. Kaden again attacks him and there is a big explosion there when Kurtine appears and saves the other children. Kaden is again about to hit him when one of them comes and asks him to stop. He says if they knew that Jiwoo was his pupil, they wouldn't have touched him, while all the people there are shocked that Jiwoo is Kaden's pupil. This is totally unbelievable for them, and that man tries to persuade him by saying he should not be harsh towards the frame. But Kaden says they have already touched his pupil, so he will not leave them now, and attacks and kills one of them. The other one comes forward to attack him, but Kaden attacks all of them and reaches them near death. They all get badly injured while Kurtine creates spatial isolation to save the other kids. He managed to accurately attack just his enemies, and if he hadn't done that, many of them wouldn't have survived an attack of such a scale. That is why his combat ability is close to the top 10. They are all badly injured that they cannot face him one by one, but in the meantime, all of them are about to be freed. Suddenly, the world's top 10 under frame Andre appears there and says if he had known that Kaden and Kurtine would be here, he would have thought this plan over. Kaden asks him why he is here as he never came out whenever he would challenge him to a fight, and offers to have a battle right now. But Andre asks him if he is going to abandon the person he needed to protect to fight, and Kaden hesitates for a moment. He makes fun that the notorious Kaden Break, who is crazy for fighting, is hesitating to fight him, which means the child must be very important to him. Jiwoo wakes up and asks Kaden to not give up on this because of him. This is a fight he has been wanting. He didn't give up because he was Kaden's disciple, so he should not give up either. Kaden turns back and hands over Jiwoo to Kurtine and asks Andre to have a fight. Everyone thinks Kaden is crazy because his opponent is said to be on a level of catastrophe. Gareth shouts from his place and tells them about the consequences of the fighting and that the children wouldn't be able to survive, but Kaden says Kurtine is here and he will handle all the circumstances. While Kurtine thinks whatever happens to these children is none of his business, the principal asks the students to gather on Kurtine's side so that he can protect them properly. After that, Kaden asks Kurtine to isolate the place so that he can save his power. Kurtine creates his spatial isolation, but in the meantime, Andre attacks Kaden when he had took his guard down while Kurtine creates a defense to protect the children. He thinks he has won, but Kaden comes out of nowhere with immense energy. They both come toward each other with so much energy that their awakened powers collide with each other. The energy is so immense that it is getting difficult for Kurtine to hold it and maintain spatial isolation. After a while, the surroundings just disappeared because of the clash of forces earlier, and Andre confessed that Kaden is not an easy opponent. He then asks Kaden to stop there as he has now learned his goal, and this is enough for them. Kaden gets angry about this and says he wants to continue the fight, and all the people think he is crazy as Andre himself wants to stop the fight, but he wants to continue. But Andre doesn't listen to him and runs away from there. Kaden then turns toward Jiwoo and asks him about his health while Kurtine reveals his sternum is completely broken and he needs to be treated quickly. Gareth comes forward and thanks him and asks him if they can talk for a moment, but Kaden leaves by taking Jiwoo as his treatment is more important to him. After that, Kurtine is treating Kaden and wonders why he is treating Jiwoo, who is nothing to him. He feels sorry for him because he is following someone who doesn't even look like a teacher, and without him, he would have been dead already. At night, Kaden is doing force control and thinks he has definitely overdone his powers when Jiwoo wakes up and says his whole body still feels heavy. Kaden tells him that he was all alone in this world since a long time ago because he had no one with him. But Jiwoo can do whatever he wants because he has Kaden on his side. The next morning, Gareth thanks Kaden for what he did for the students, but Kaden says he didn't jump in to help them all. He still thanks him because if it was not for him, the academy would have been wiped out by Frame. He then assures him that he will personally take care of Jiwoo as he is Kaden's disciple, but he forbids him to do anything useless. On the other side, Jiwoo went to the hospital to see his friends and he feels ashamed that he was the only one who has been treated by Kurtine and apologizes to them as they were hurt because of him. Jisuk says it was his decision to fight and Jiwoo is not responsible for anything. Subin also feels good that they trusted each other without any question and fought with everything they had, and Wooin also agrees with her. Jisuk gets angry and comes outside when Jiwoo comes after him and apologizes to him. They were talking to each other when many students come there and thanked him as he drew their attention toward him when they were about to attack them. In fact, most of them survived because Jiwoo helped them. Meanwhile, the top 10 also come there and thank him and Kaden, and they all survived and shakes hands with Jiwoo. After some time, they remember Suchin was also with them and rush toward his room and ask him how the villain survived. And he revealed that Kurtine left him at a safe place. Jisuk and Subin are making fun while he is just staring at them angrily. About yesterday, when he was lying in the hospital, Kurtine came there and asks him if he is Jiwoo's friend and put him in a safe place. Now, he is getting furious because he learns that he is alive because of Jiwoo. Jisuk and Subin are calling him a villain or a member of the Frame and making fun when In-hyuk and Seongha entered the room and informed them that they have decided to go back as soon as their bodies have recovered. Due to this incident, the World Awakened Academy has decided to close for a while, and all the other students of the academy are going to their homes. At night, Duke and Kane are out for a walk when they see the professor there who is still alive, and ask Duke for help. Kane notices he just asked Duke for help, and before he realizes anything, Duke attacks him from behind and Kane learns that he is also a traitor. He attacks Kane and he gets injured while the professor asks him to kill Kane. Duke tells him that he can't use his powers because he might get caught. He starts torturing him and apologizes to him that he wanted to use his powers to kill him in an instant, but he can't make a fuss there. Jiwoo reaches there and sees everything. They are shocked to see him and Duke thinks if Jiwoo runs away right now, he will not be able to catch him. Jiwoo doesn't aware of the situation and asks Duke about Kane and how he got hurt, so he turns back and tells him that the professor attacked Kane. He asks Jiwoo to bring Kane away and that he will take care of the professor. Jiwoo comes closer to Grand Kane while he asks him to run away. Duke is about to attack him, but Jiwoo uses his super speed and dodges his attack. Jiwoo reveals he was never fooled by his words since the beginning, so he just acted as if he was to save Kane. Duke is thinking if Jiwoo runs away with Kane and if he is able to catch him. Meanwhile, Kane is asking Jiwoo to run away and tell everyone about them. Jiwoo threw away his opportunity to run away and comes to fight Duke. Duke reveals that Jiwoo is not the only one who learned from the strong teacher. He also learned from one of the world's top 10 in exchange for joining Frey. Jiwoo and Kane are shocked that Duke is the disciple of the world's top 10. Duke comes to attack him while Jiwoo's attacks are fast and powerful too, as this is a battle of life and death for them. Soon, Jiwoo takes him down and Duke is shocked that why he is feeling so useless in front of him. When Duke got defeated by Jiwoo, the professor thinks if he kills Jiwoo, they both may able to escape. He tries to attack Jiwoo from behind when Curtin reaches there and grabs his hand. He asks him why he is helping Jiwoo, but he says he is not helping him. Instead, Jiwoo is his patient, so it will be so troublesome for him to treat him again. He tries to run from there, but Caden uses the technique of Black Swamp and feels drenched in it. He then scolds Jiwoo for why he is fighting again and making problems for him. Meanwhile, Duke runs away from there and Jiwoo asks Curtin for help, but he refuses to help him. Jiwoo then helps Kane and takes him to the medical center. After that, he goes to his room and tells Caden the whole story and that Duke was about to kill Kane. On the other side, Duke was running to save his life when a boy comes there and asks him if Caden's disciple is in the same academy as his. On the other side, Jiwoo tells all of his friends about Duke and that he almost killed Kane, which was very shocking for all of them as well as for Arthur. He reveals Duke was one of the top 10, and even now, he still plays an important role in the academy. Also, he belonged to a prestigious grain family, and this news is also shocking for them. And they are still investigating whether it's true or not, but there is no guarantee that the World Awakened Academy will be able to operate again in the future. Arthur's family has called him back as they are also anxious that he might have gone to Frame's side, and he is sad by thinking that his family doesn't trust him. He says goodbye to them and leaves when Jiwoo follows him and asks for his phone number so that he can call him later. At night, Jiwoo is doing force control and Caden asks him to think about the last time he fought and concentrate on getting stronger and controlling his power more precisely than at that moment. Caden is worried about him because he has been revealed as his disciple and now he will keep on getting into dangerous situations. On the other side, Duke reaches the academy with his senior who wants to see Caden's disciple as Andre told him about him. He landed in the academy and attacks the whole place with his powers. Caden recognizes the aura that it belongs to Schnatter's power and is the world's top 10 ranked. Gareth and other teachers recognize him as he is Royst, Schnatter's disciple. He states the reason to use his powers here is to call them out and asks them to call Caden as he wants to say hello to him. Meanwhile, Caden appears from behind and asks him why he wants to meet him, and he replies he wants to greet his disciple too, as Andre told him about Jiwoo and that his powers are intriguing. Caden asks him to follow him and takes him to the place where Jiwoo is, and Royst is shocked to see that Caden always declined him but chooses a kid to be his disciple. He tells Jiwoo that he has come here to meet him and have a duel with him or he will hide behind his teacher. Jiwoo thinks if he will avoid fighting that means he is putting shame on Caden. But Amyeong appears there and says if he wants to fight with Caden's disciple then he has to fight him first. Royst asks him to get lost from there as the fight between him and Caden's disciple has nothing to do with him, but Amyeong states he is indebted to Caden's disciple and Royst has a grudge against Caden because he dumped him. Royst gets furious about this and attacks him. They both start fighting while their awakened powers are much stronger than Jiwoo's. Jiwoo asks Caden to stop them as they are fighting because of him, but Caden says this was their own choice. He asks Jiwoo to not think about anything else and watch them closely as he can learn a lot just by looking at the fights of the strong. Royst has seemed to be dominant on Amyeong and getting seriously injured. Suddenly, Amyeong disappeared from his sight and appears from behind and hits Royst. Meanwhile, Gareth appears there and asks them to stop as they can't fight in his academy, and Royst leaves by saying he will again come to meet Jiwoo and will have a fight with him. Jiwoo is shocked to see that Amyeong's wounds are healing by themselves. After that, Caden asks him why he showed up suddenly and fought for Jiwoo, and he replies the same, that he is indebted to Jiwoo. Caden advises him that he should definitely use his power to fight in an advantageous situation and advises him to focus on the power he is most confident in and can grow with just that power. On the other side, Jiwoo is thinking about the skill used by Amyeong earlier when he made several afterimages at a rapid speed and thinks to use the skill for his speed too, while Curtin thinks he is crazy about fighting just like Caden. In the meantime, Gareth appears there with his mystical creature whose name is Phoenix and is one of the strongest mythical beasts of the Lautrain family. Ji-woo likes it so much and hugs the animal while Gareth thinks this is due to the ability to communicate with animals. Caden comes and asks him why he brought his animal now because if he had been here, the accident would not have happened, while Gareth replies he doesn't have the place to put it and can't afford the price to keep it at the academy. On the other side, Royce is in anger that if Amioing had not been there, he would have been able to confirm the powers of Caden's disciple. He goes to Duke and asks him if he ever fought with Caden's disciple or if he has any idea about his powers. Duke states he doesn't think there is an awakener his age who could win against him and that he also got defeated by him. The next morning, they are about to leave the academy when Gareth asks Ji-woo about Caden and he says he has something to do, so he went first. He assures him that he will find him the ultimate best female cat possible for casein nitrate. In-hyuk comes back and informs Ji-young that they couldn't even protect the kids when they were in danger, and if it were not for Caden and Kurteen, they would have lost the kids. She asks him where they are right now, and he tells her that they all split up as soon as they arrived. Wooin went to visit the professor and he says they are all lucky that they came back safely and all credit goes to Caden. This will raise Caden's reputation even more since he even made one of the top 10 withdrawals from the match. He tells him the situation was so worse that he could have died, so if he still wants to be with his friends because the situation gets worse in the future, but Wooin replies he will be with them in every situation. At night, they all went to Ji-woo's home and Subin is sad to know that Caden and Kurteen left without saying anything, as they should have talked to him before they left. Jisuk says they ran away secretly because of her ugly face, which makes her offended, and they both start fighting again. Meanwhile, Ji-young comes there and is shocked to see them fighting and stops to see her because she has brought a lot of things for them. She takes Ji-woo outside and tells him that she received a call from Jurian Patrick who said that many awakeners became overly interested because they found out that Caden has a disciple now. Especially the successors of the top 10, so a lot of things will happen to him in the future because of that. Ji-woo gets sad that he always makes people around him worry about him and needs to become stronger as fast as possible, so he can stop being a bother, while Ji-young says he is getting stronger fast enough right now. Jisuk is acting weird as he is continuously texting someone and not playing games with them. Subin snatches his phone and is shocked to see that he is texting Leah. They are all surprised when Jisuk tells them that Leah suddenly asked him for his number before they came back and he is getting annoyed to talk on the phone. It is raining outside when a mysterious man appears outside Ji-woo's house. They were all sleeping when they heard a voice that is calling Subin outside the home. Ji-woo opens the door and Subin recognizes the man as he is her grandpa and the president of the Awakener Association. He has come back after a long time and heard that she has changed school, and that she only goof around every day. He scolds her after returning to Korea rather than going home. She is sleeping over at this place with the boys. He asks her to come out right now, and she apologizes to Ji-woo and leaves his home. Ji-woo runs after her to give her an umbrella, but she had gone until then. Jisuk tells him that the president is really strict and scary, and that is why the atmosphere in her house is very serious, and that he was away for some reason, but it looks like he is back. He takes her home and asks her to not hang out with them anymore and keep her distance from them in the future. Subin tries to resist, but he stops her by saying she is different from them as she is the person who will lead this country's Awakener Association and doesn't have the time to spend with them. 1 week passed, then Ji-woo and Wooin are trying to contact Subin, but she hasn't checked her messages or answered any calls. Jisuk goes to meet her and asks why she is not answering the calls as they are all worried for her, but she doesn't answer his questions when her grandpa reaches there and asks him to not look for Subin anymore in the future. The next day, Ji-woo reaches her home and asks her why she is not contacting them, but Subin is acting weird and asks Ji-woo to not look for her from now on. After a while, the president appears there and asks him if he is Caden's disciple, and Ji-woo introduces himself as Subin's friend. The president says he should not use the word friend so easily, but Ji-woo says he knows the definition of friends among awakeners. The president asks him if he can risk his life for his friends or can trust his life to them, and Ji-woo replies yes. He asks him to know his place as there are many people in the world who would do anything to steal Caden's force control in order to use his powers, and the things will impact his granddaughter too because he considers her as his friend. When Ji-woo has left, Seong-ha tells him that Ji-woo and Subin have saved each other's lives a few times, but he replies to the people who killed Subin's parents, who once also used to save each other's lives. After that, they are all sending him pictures of their activities, which makes her more offended. She was doing training when the grandpa comes there and says she has a lot of thoughts in her mind, which is why her power control is a mess. She asks him if she can meet her friends, but he refuses this time too. The next day, Mr. Han comes to visit him as he heard that the president has cut off contact with everyone and asks him about his disease. The president reveals that he just has 3 years to live and he is worried about Subin, that he has to leave a lot of things to her. When Mr. Han is about to leave, he sees Subin there and she is shocked to learn that he is the old friend of her grandfather, as he always acted like he doesn't have a friend. Mr. Han laughs a lot at knowing her opinion and asks her to meet him sometime later, as he has a lot of things to tell her. Subin goes to a restaurant with him and tells him about the situation, that she is unable to understand why her grandpa is going to retire so soon. Mr. Han reveals to her that he doesn't have much time to live and has at most 3 years to live. From the outside, it might seem like he is pushing her, but he is just worried for his granddaughter, who will soon be left alone in the world. They are again sending their pictures to Subin when she furiously enters Jiwoo's house and shouts at them why they keep sending their pictures to her, and if she is not answering their texts then they should stop sending her photos. Jisuk gets angry and says she can block them if she doesn't want to see them, and there is no need for her to come and shout at them. She starts crying and says she wants to hang out with them but can't tell her grandpa because he is going to die soon, and start crying more loudly. The next day, Jiwoo goes to meet her grandpa and asks him to let them meet Subin. He asks him if they both are dating and Jiwoo replies they are definitely not. He gets angry at the way Jiwoo denies it and says if she is too lacking for her then why he has come there for her. He refuses to give him permission to meet her. Jiwoo tells her about yesterday when Subin came to his home and told them about his disease and that he is going to die soon. Jiwoo asks him if he will be okay if Subin is alone without any friends. He gets angry about this and says Subin is not like him, the disciple of Kaden who lives freely like a king ruling this world because of his powers. She needs to lead the association. Jiwoo says if he is worried about seeing Subin alone by herself, then they will not let that happen and will help her. Meanwhile, Seonga comes into the room and the president asks Jiwoo to go. After some time, the professor comes to meet him and wants to take a look at his health, and he is just doing it because of Jiwoo, as he requested him to treat the president. The next day, Wooin tells that the professor examined the president, but it is hard for him to cure the disease. At night, Jiwoo is being sad about thinking of Subin when Kurteen goes to Jiwoo and asks him if he has something to say to him, but he gets up and leaves by saying nothing. After a while, he hears Kaden and Jiwoo talking that Kurteen can't treat Subin's grandfather as there is a limit to what he can do. Kaden says Jiwoo to not ask him about it as it will hurt his pride. The next morning, Kurteen reaches at the hospital to treat the president, and the professor tells him that he managed to reduce his pain a bit and extend his lifespan from 3 years to 6 years. The president is shocked at how he agrees to treat him, as he knows he won't treat anyone unless it's a special case. Meanwhile, Kaden also reaches there and says he will watch him back while he treats the president. The president is shocked that Jiwoo is the one who could persuade both Kurteen and Kaden to treat him. Instead, all of them are here because of Subin's friends. After that, Kurteen is treating them while they are all protecting them outside. After some time, Subin and all of his friends also reach there. Kurteen comes outside after a few days and informs them that he has cured the president. The president reveals that the pain he was suffering for 8 years is now disappeared. Seongha congratulates him as he is fully recovered now, and he says that he owes this to Subin's friends, as he has called on many awakeners to attempt to treat him until now. But they all failed to treat his condition and could only give him the slightest of reliefs, and all of them who treated him because he is the grandfather of a friend of the young people they care about. Sometimes later, they are all at Jiwoo's home when Subin reaches there with a lot of foodstuffs for them. Jisuk and Wooin are happier for snacks than her and take away all the snacks from her. She thanks them all as her grandpa is better now because of them. They all stayed at Jiwoo's house at night while Kurteen is unhappy because they again turned home upside down and they had peace and quiet when she was not there. The next morning, Jurian comes to meet Jiyoung without notice and says his younger brother wants to meet Kaden's disciple. She called Jiwoo there and Jurian introduces his brother as Ian Patrick. Jiwoo asks him why he wants to meet him and he replies he was just curious about what kind of person he is and that he doesn't have any thoughts of fighting him. Moreover, he was dragged against his will by Jurian because he wanted to meet Jiyoung and wanted an excuse to meet her. At home, he is continuously thinking about Jurian, that he is the disciple of the world's top 10, an adult, while he is still relying on Kaden. He wants to get stronger as soon as possible. After a while, Jiyoung comes to meet him and asks him for a walk. She asks him about the conversation he had with Ion Patrick, and Jiwoo tells her that they didn't come here because he wanted to see him, while they visited because Jurian wanted to see her. On the other side, some people come to Jiwoo's mother and ask her to come with them. It's been a few days that Jiwoo has not contacted his mom, as she is not replying to her messages or receiving his calls. Kaden and Kurtine ask him to wait a little longer as she might call him today. But when she didn't contact him after a few more days, Kaden asks him to go and find her mom, as it was odd that she is not contacting him back. He immediately takes a flight and reaches the apartment where she used to live, but it looks so barren and seems like it's been a while since anyone's lived there. Jae-woo reveals that whenever he receives letters or postcards from her, this place's address was written down, and according to Kurtine, there is only one explanation for this: she didn't live here. Instead, she has been using this address to hide something else. Kaden asks him where his mom works, and he tells them that she worked for a pharmaceutical company, Oin. On the other side, a man is investigating why she has been stowing away samples and who is her accomplice. She replies she disposed of every sample and didn't hide any one of them, but they have discovered a sample from the experiment she is currently leading. How can the sample still be alive and well? Moreover, the sample that they caught also told them she saved them and aided them in running away. He reveals that a psychotic awakener is on his way, and he will tear out all the information straight from her head. She is thinking about Jiwoo and that he must be worried about her, but still, he will be okay without her now. Jiwoo reaches the Oin company, but they reveal that there are no one named Kang Yujeong here. He was talking to the receptionist when a man comes to him and asks him if he is looking for Professor Kang Yujeong, and is shocked to learn that she has a son because she always told them that she doesn't have any family. He asks Jiwoo to come with them as they will take him to her mother. They tell him that she works in another building, so they are going there, but they take him to an abandoned place, and Jiwoo feels something weird about them. One of them tries to make him unconscious with the help of a syringe, but Jiwoo dodges it. He then tries to punch him, but Jiwoo holds his hand and counterattacks him so that he flew away from the car by breaking its door. They realize that he is an awakener and that Professor Kang was hiding this huge secret all along. He orders his men to bring Jiwoo to him, and one of them takes out his gun and shoots him while Jiwoo dodges all the bullets with his super speed. He reaches for him and takes out the gun from him and takes him down. He asks the other man if he knows his mother and why they have brought him there, but he comes forward and attacks him. Jiwoo dodges his attacks and punches him, and he asks Jiwoo which organization is he from. Suddenly, he takes out something from his pocket and attaches it to his neck and becomes so much more powerful. He then comes forward to attack him while Jiwoo manages to dodge his attack and stands at a distance from him. He again comes to attack him, but Jiwoo uses his power and speed at a time and punches him so badly that he got defeated and asks him about his mom. He reveals that they have kept her in a secret research facility and that he can't find her by himself, and Jiwoo thinks he doesn't have any other option except to follow him. On the other side, a researcher named Layla comes to Professor Kang for investigation, and she is a spiritual awakener. She grabs her from his head and controlled her mind to see into her heart. The man takes Jiwoo to the facility where his mom is, and Jiwoo is shocked that her mother works in a place like this. Jiwoo gives him an electric shock that he becomes unconscious. He then goes to the guards and tells her that he has come there looking for an employee, Professor Kang Yujeong. But they immediately take out their guns, and Jiwoo guesses that they know his mom, which means she is actually there while inside. Layla is trying to control Yujeong's mind, but she has a strong will as she is trying to hide something so desperately. But she is just thinking about Jiwoo and that she can't let these people know about Jiwoo. Suddenly, a man opens the door and tells Layla that a kid came here looking for Professor Kang. Layla starts torturing her and asks her about the kid who is looking for her, while she is worried that if it is really Jiwoo, then what should she do? They take Jiwoo to a room, and he thinks about why his mom is here and what kind of work she is doing in this place. After a while, Layla reaches there and sits in front of him and starts using her awakened powers. She uses a little force to hypnotize him as she doesn't know he is an awakener, and asks him about his relationship with Professor Kang. Jiwoo replies he is her family member and asks her if he can meet her. Layla thinks it would be interesting to let the two of them meet if he really is a family member. She takes him to her mother, who is shocked to see her there and asks him why he has come there. She asks Jiwoo to run away from there. Jiwoo is shocked to see her condition, while Layla is laughing at her as she was hiding her son, whom himself reaches there. Professor Kang says to Layla that she will tell them everything if they let her son go, but she refuses by saying that he might know something. Jiwoo asks her if she was the one who tortured his mother and attacks her so badly that she falls away to the ground. He then says to her mother to wait a little longer as he will take her out of there. Layla gets up and tries to attack him back, but Jiwoo doesn't give her the time to get stable and pushes her back. She is so much shocked that how can a kid be so strong?